Welcome to the Purple Warriors podcast. I'm Ali Sugars, your host, and thank you so much for joining me. This podcast is about raising awareness for domestic abuse by allowing survivors to share their own stories and journeys to recovery. It's also about assisting fellow survivors to give you practical yet powerful information that will help you on the road to your recovery. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Purple Warriors podcast. I am really excited that as of this episode, we are officially in double figures. This is episode 10. And I want to take a quick moment to thank all my guests who have come on so far and taken their time to share their expertise and, in most cases, their very personal experiences on this program. Now, I know that I personally have learned so much already, and I've got no doubt that my listeners have as well. So just a quick mention to anyone who's listening to this, or if you know someone that might like to come on as a guest on the show, either in a professional capacity or as someone who would like to share their story, please feel free to email me at welcome@themotivationmama.com, or you can find me under that very same name on Facebook and Instagram. So on with today's show. Now today we're going to chat around the topic of health and exactly what it means both physically and mentally. So up until fairly recently, when we've talked about health, we've mostly related it to physical health in our bodies. You know, like exercise, diet, sleep, all the normal. However, thankfully, in more recent times, where it has only recently that the stigma around mental illness has begun to be removed with such days as Are You OK Day and World Mental Health Day, health can now mean so much more than what we would have thought originally. In fact, the World Health Organization says, and I quote, "Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity." It says, there is no health without mental health. So know that today, when I speak about health, I'm speaking about both our body and our mind as a whole. So in the last few weeks, for me personally, it's been made really prevalent just how aligned physical and mental health are with each other. I have been dealing with quite a significant physical incapacity. I've been in a lot of pain. I've been unable to function at a high capacity within my body. And I've really had to struggle with keeping my mental check in health as well. You know, there have been times when all I could do was just sit on the couch and cry in agony and feel sorry for myself. There have been other times when I've been so angry with my body and determined to just keep going. And to be bluntly honest with you, before I've sat down to record this episode, I was in a deep funk. And I have literally had to talk myself in mentally to coming and sitting in my office and recording this episode because I've been in so much pain, which has affected my mental state. Now, I'm not telling you this to get sympathy from you in any way. And actually, you know what? It's actually quite the opposite. I want you all to understand that mental health issues can lead to physical health issues and vice versa if we don't look after our bodies and our minds properly. And you know, I'm speaking to myself here as much as I am all my listeners. And I know from experience that, you know, if you've come out of a domestic violence relationship or an abusive relationship, you know how hard we have to struggle to get our minds back in order. You know, and I think back to only a few short years ago when I had an incident in the workplace, and it led to probably, I would say, my worst mental breakdown in my life. And it got to the point where I just could not physically move from the couch because of my mental state. On the other hand, I know that when I pushed myself far enough, when I forced myself to get up off the couch and go for maybe a short 20-minute walk, I would come home and I would feel more ready to deal with whatever the day was going to bring. So let's talk a little bit exactly about how our minds and our bodies work together. And I think the thing that we all need to be reminded of first and foremost is that we need to always put ourselves and our health first. Now, for most of us, this is going to seem really daunting at first and quite challenging and probably even a bit wrong, simply because we are so used to putting ourselves way down on our list of priorities. But I'm telling you, this needs to change. And again, I'm talking to myself here. Now, I've said it many times on many forums that if we don't look after ourselves first, how can we truly be expected to look after anybody else? Now, this can include anyone and everyone, our children, our family, our friends. You can't do your job properly. You know, how many of us work a 50 to 60 hour week simply to get ahead, but we forget to eat lunch because we're just too busy? Or we're sitting at a desk all day and we're not getting up every hour to walk around and stretch for a break. We don't sleep because things simply need to get done. Now, I ask you, is this putting yourself first? Some people might say yes, but actually no. Do you take the time to have a proper 30-minute a day break at work? Do you take the time to have 30 minutes a day to yourself to do something just for you away from work? It can be anything: a walk, a gym workout, a craft class, a meditation, a singing session, which is actually something that I did for myself the other day. I was really struggling and all I did was just put on a bit of YouTube and I sat down and I sang at the top of my lungs because I know this is something for me that will just help my mental state. And I have to say that in having that singing session, if you like, my little sing-along, my pain reduced as well because the happy endorphins in my brain were being released and there it was, the pain's going. And I'm going to say here too right now, I was in pain before coming to record this episode. As I sit here and speak right now, the pain that I have been dealing with is decreasing. That just goes to show how much I love doing my podcast. A great mental exercise I mentioned before is meditation. Or maybe even if you believe in it, pray for a length of time, anything that suits you. Even 10 minutes first thing in the morning to lie in bed and visualize a great day ahead and exercise some gratitude for what we have in our life can be the best mental start to our day. And what it will also do is make you physically want to jump out of bed rather than drag yourself out. And this is a great way if you are the person that goes for the run in the morning, lie in bed, do your gratitude exercise, and then jump out of bed and go for a run. It all works together. So I would urge you to try this gratitude exercise tomorrow morning when you wake up, even for the next week or so, and take note of the difference in your mental state. So let's get a little bit technical here for a moment and talk a bit more about those happy hormones that I mentioned earlier, or the chemicals in our brains and what they are and how they work for us. So we have endorphins that I mentioned that work to relieve stress and pain, great for me at the moment, as well as promote feelings of euphoria and pleasure. There's dopamine, otherwise known as the reward hormone or the feel-good hormone, which promotes exhilaration, motivation, concentration, movement and learning. There's serotonin for better moods, sense of well-being, appetite, sleep and memory. And lastly, there's oxytocin for bonding, arousal, trust, communication, anti-stress and self-esteem. Now, how can we get all these hormones working the best for us? Well, I also mentioned earlier that by doing all the things that keep your body and your mind healthy. So take the time to do some regular exercise, eat a healthy diet, spend time with people that you love and enjoy a good belly laugh, hug someone, do things that you enjoy, and be sure to get plenty of rest and quality sleep. It's all a bit logical, hey? Now, I'm not going to speak on these hormones or these chemicals too much because I'm not a professional in this area. But if there are any professionals out there who would like to come on the show and explain it in much more technical terms, I would 100% welcome you to come on the show and do just that. Now, lastly, I want to leave you with this thought. It seems to me that even in today's society, that when we have a physical ailment, we don't hesitate in visiting a doctor for a diagnosis and perhaps, if required, further tests and maybe some medication. But there's still quite a bit of hesitance in us around admitting when we need help with our mental health. But let me remind you, as I have in previous episodes, that there is help freely and readily available within the Australian healthcare system. You can now visit your GP to get a free mental health check. But when you are ringing to make the appointment, be sure to mention that this is what you're booking in for, because these appointments do take a little bit longer than a regular appointment. So your doctor's going to take the time to discuss with you how you're feeling, what may be going on in your life, and if they think that it's necessary, they may offer you a mental health care plan. Now, alternatively, if you need to speak to someone but you can't visit a doctor for whatever reason, other alternatives are you can go to such websites as beyondblue.org.au, 1800respect.org.au, or you can phone Lifeline on 131114 or visit the website lifeline.org.au. There are also personal and life coaches like me who work with people to help them recognise their incredible ability within themselves and to promote personal growth. So there are so many different arenas to keep check on ourselves and our health today. So let's all continue to work on ourselves and together as a society to promote total health for every single person. And I am wishing you all incredible health and happiness as you go about your day today. I hope you enjoyed today's show and thanks for listening. If you would like to share your story of survival or you have a topic you would like to hear about on the program, reach out to me via email welcome@themotivationmama.com or find me, The Motivation Mama, on Instagram or Facebook. And don't forget, the greatest project that you will ever work on is you. Happy day, beautiful.